Good morning, Year 3. It's Monday the 18th of May. Welcome to week 5 of term 5. I'm going to be talking through the maths with you for this week. We're going to be continuing with our units of measure. And just before lockdown, in class we were focusing on length and we were measuring length using meters, centimetres and millimetres. The last few weeks you have been measuring time and using hours and minutes, and this week we're going to be focusing on the mass of an object and also finding the capacity and volume. Okay, now we're going to start with mass. Now notice that I said we're going to find the mass of an object, not the weight of an object, and it's because you actually weigh an object and you find the mass. There's a big scientific reason about it which you don't need to worry about, but we're actually going to be finding the mass of an object. So does anyone know what you weigh an object in? Do you know what we measure an object in? That's right, it's grams and kilograms. And which one is heavier and which one is lighter? Yeah, the kilograms is heavier than the grams. Does anyone know how many grams are in a kilogram? Now there's a clue there, there's a clue in the name, kilogram. Where might have you seen that word before? Kilogram, kilometre, kilometre. Remember we talked about that when we were doing our measure, and there's 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. So that's right, there's 1,000 grams in 1 kilometre. Okay, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is looking and reading when we are finding the mass of an object. So before we can weigh objects to find the mass, we need to understand how to read the scales, which is how we measure mass. We use weighing scales. Now at home, you might have some digital scales, which might have been quite busy over the lockdown, certainly doing lots of baking. But you also might have some scales like this. So if you've got some of these, you're going to need them for this week's lesson. Don't worry about getting them now. Just for now, you can watch me. But before you do any of the tasks that are set online, you might be able to go and get some of your weighing scales. Okay, I'll talk about the digital scales at another time. But for now, we're just going to be looking and reading the scales on this, on these weighing scales. Okay, so you can see on the inner rim, you've got a different unit of measure. You've got pounds and ounces. Now that's what they used to measure the mass of objects in, but actually now we are going to be using, we weigh things in grams and kilograms, which are the numbers on the outside. So please ignore pounds and ounces on the inside and just focus on the outer ring. Okay, you can see that my dial's not set at 0, so I've got to make sure that my dial is set at 0. Now we need to understand what these intervals are in. We can see here it says 200 grams, but we need to work out, well, what does that weigh? How do we know? Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. It's mirror opposite, mirror image. So we need to understand what those they're called increments, what are they? Now actually, if you think about it, it's just like a number line. It's just like a number line that's in a circle. So we're going to just think about our number lines and how we would find the missing numbers in a number line. In this number line here, we want to find what are my scales going up in? What is my measure going up in? What would the missing numbers be? Can you fill them out? You can always copy these down and have a go yourself at filling them out. You just get the lid off the pen. Okay. Easy said than done. Live TV. Okay, that's right, they're going up in 50s. What would this missing one be then? 200 grams. What would the one before 150 grams be if they're going up in 50 increments? 100 grams, well done. And what would the one after 250 be? If they're all going up in 50s, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300. Remember, we're using our unit of measurement and we're measuring in grams. Okay, let's look at this next scale, this next number line. We've got 100 there, and then we've got 200, 300, 400. But how do I know what intervals they are? Let's look at how many they are divided into, that section. How many is that section divided into? Think what halfway would be. That's right, 150 So if that is 150, what would that one be? What's halfway between 100 and 150? 125 grams, well done. So they are going up in 25 grams. So 100, 125, 150, 175 grams, 200. 225, 250, 275, 300. Okay? So it's just like reading a number line. So let's look back at our digital scales here. So we've got here, we've got 200 grams, and then we've got 400 grams. So can you work that out, what they are, what the intervals are? And I've drawn it on a straight number line, exactly the same as the weighing scales here. I've just flattened it out. Okay, so if there's ever a weight, if there's ever a mass that you weigh that you're not sure, draw out a number line and see if that makes sense to you, because it's just a curved number line. All right, so hopefully you'll be able to see that each of these bigger increments are 100 grams, and then the same, it's 25 grams, they're going up in 25 grams, 25, 50, 75, 100. What happens after we get to 100? 125, 150, 175, 200. Then what? 225, 250, 275, 300, 325, etc., etc. I think you get the idea now. All right, so when you're focusing on measuring your objects, on weighing your objects to find the mass, make sure you're looking at the outside number line. And if you're unsure, write down your number line as you would on a piece of paper to help you. Okay, you need to help me find the mass of each of these objects. So I've just gone around my house and I've just got a couple of objects that I'm going to weigh for you, and I want you to try and help me read the scales, please. So I've got a banana. First of all, I've got a banana. I'm going to put that in the top of the scales. Okay, now looking at my number scale, are we reading the outside or the inside? Okay, the outside. We can see we've gone past 100. Remember we talked about this on our number line, and they're going up in 25 grams. So we know there's no point starting at 0, because I know that they're already at 100, but they haven't yet reached 200. They're the increment, they're the line beforehand. So 100, 125, 150, 175 grams. And remember, you need to write the G, the unit of measurement. So you would write it 175 grams, just like that. Okay. Okay, let's take this object off. Make sure that your arrow is pointing back at 0. I've then got an egg. I wonder how much the egg weighs. I wonder whether you can make an estimate first. Can you estimate the mass of an egg? Okay, let's see if you're right. Okay, so it's got on the 2 small increments. Remember, they were going up in 25 grams. So 25, 50 grams. Okay, right. Can you estimate? I've got some hand cream here. Can you estimate how much the hand cream weighs? Let's just make sure that the arrow is pointing correctly at 0. Okay, so was that more or less than you were expecting? You see, it's not quite at the 100 yet. It's the increment before. Remember, they were going up in 25 grams. So that's right. It's 75 grams. Okay, let's see if we can get some heavier objects here. So I've got the mug. I've got a mug here. How much do you think that mug is going to weigh? What is the mass of this mug? Okay, let's put it on the top. You've had your estimate? Okay, wow, let's make sure it's going to stay. Okay, now we've gone past 200 grams, but as you can see, we haven't got to 400 yet. Have we gone past 300? So we've got our 300 there, so we're going to start at counting at 300. If you're not sure, start back at 200 and count in your 25 grams. But we've got to 300, 325, 350. 350 grams. 350 grams. Okay. And our last object that we're going to weigh is a tape measure. Okay. Now, do you think that is heavier or lighter than my mug? Okay, let's have a check. Let's put it in the scales, on the scales. Whoa, let's have a look at this one. So we've gone past 400 grams, but we haven't yet got to, well, this is 600, so what does that make this one? That's right, 500. So we haven't got to 500. Let's start at 400, 425, 450. So how many more grams, how much heavier was the tape measure than the mug? Okay. Now, I don't know whether I pointed out before that if you look on the outside, you can see that we get 600, 800, and then we get to 1. What does that mean? Do you remember how many grams we said that were in a kilogram? Yeah, thousands. And thinking about this going up in 200 grams, see the big increments are going up in 200 grams, that one, that would be 1,000 grams, which is meaning 1 kilogram. So then when we get to 1, it goes back to 200 again. Well, 200 is there. How can that be 200 there and 200 there? Have a think about that. So it'd be 1,200, which is 1 kilogram, 200 grams. 1 kilogram, 400 grams. Let me see if I can press down on it and then you can be able to see what I'm talking about. So we go 400, 600 grams, 800 grams, 1,000 grams, which is the same as 1 kilogram. 1 kilogram and 200 grams, 1,200. 1 kilogram, 400 grams, 1,600 grams. 1,800 grams, so 1 kilogram, 800 grams, 2,000 grams, which is the same as 2 kilograms. 2 kilograms, 200 grams, 2,200. 2 kilograms, 400 grams, 2,400. 2,600. 2 kilograms, 600. 2,800. 2 kilograms, 800, and all the way back to, well, not all the way back, all the way around to 3,000 grams, which is the same as 3 kilograms. Now I'm having to apply quite a lot of pressure. You see all that pressure that I'm putting on there? I wonder whether you can find an object in your house that weighs over 2,000 grams, 2 kilograms. Okay, if you've got some weighing scales like this, I would like you to do the same as what I've just done. I would like you to go around, choose some objects, make sure your scale, your arrow is pointing at the 0, and I would like you to then weigh an object. And if you've got the sheet, if you've got access to your printer, or you can just have a look at this, you have a go at weighing these objects. So I weighed, as I said, my egg. I weighed my egg. And it was how many kilograms, how many grams. Remember, a kilogram is 1,000 grams. So if it was less, it's just 0 kilograms. But try and find a range of weights. So try and see if you can, range of masses. So see if you can get some heavier objects as well. Okay. Then you can find out what the mass of these objects are. Again, if you don't have access to a printer, you don't need to. You can just write this down in your workbook if you would like to. You don't have to do this though. You could just go experimenting with finding the mass of lots of different objects. Okay, it's up to you if you want to have a go at this. We've got the next section there is reading the number lines. And then this one is finding out what the difference is. So we're finding that this toy car says it measures 4 kilograms, but also how many grams. So you need to read the scales because it's really important that you can read scales. And then there are some twist-its. Remember how many grams were in a kilogram? Okay, can you match up the masses? And then there's solve it if you would like to. Okay, obviously you don't have to. It's your choice whether you go on to those tasks or not. Now, if you do not have measuring scales like this, do not worry. You can either do the questions that are on the sheet, Or if you have got digital scales and you would like to do the same with digital scales, then you are able to. So I'm sure your grown up can help you at home, but you switch on. Make sure that they are on grams, not ounces. Sometimes you can the unit of measure is ounces, so make sure that they are on grams. If you've got a weight already on there, then just press tar and it will take you back to 0, and then you can weigh an object. Obviously it gives you more of a precise object, and it means that you are not counting or reading the scales, but you can do that if you look at the worksheets that are saved on there. Okay, so enjoy your day, enjoy your measuring, and I will see you tomorrow, year 3.